In the final moments before death, something extraordinary happens inside the human brain. Not a shutdown. Not a fade. A surge. Scientists monitoring dying patients have recorded the most intense brain activity ever measured in a human being occurring in the last seconds of life. Gamma waves, the highest frequency brain waves, spiking to levels that don't occur during normal waking consciousness. For decades, people who returned from the edge of death described tunnels of light, profound peace, and their entire life replaying before them. Scientists dismissed these as hallucinations. The latest neuroscience says they may have been wrong. In 2023, researchers at the University of Michigan published a landmark study in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. They had been monitoring 4 dying patients when something extraordinary appeared on their EEG readings. At the moment the ventilator was removed, as the brain was losing oxygen, gamma wave activity surged to levels never seen in conscious humans. The posterior cortex, the region most associated with conscious visual experience, lit up intensely. The hot zone of consciousness, as neuroscientists call it, became hyperactive in the very moment death began. A similar study from 2013, also from the University of Michigan, had recorded the same surge in dying rats. At the moment of cardiac arrest, the rats' brains didn't go dark. They went incandescent, firing at a higher level of coherence than during normal waking life. The 2023 human study confirmed, the dying brain does not simply switch off. It appears to generate one final, massive burst of activity. For centuries, people who survived near-death experiences have reported the same thing: their entire life, every memory, every relationship, every moment played back before them in an instant. Not as a highlight reel. All of it. Simultaneously. In perfect detail. For a long time, scientists had no explanation. Now they may have one. In 2022, a study published in Frontiers in Aging Neuroscience recorded the dying brain of an 87-year-old patient who experienced an unexpected cardiac arrest during EEG monitoring. What the researchers found was staggering. In the 30 seconds before and after the heart stopped, the brain showed coordinated bursts of gamma waves in regions associated with memory retrieval, emotional processing, and conscious awareness. The hippocampus, your memory archive, and the amygdala, your emotional core, were both highly active simultaneously. The lead researcher, Dr. Ajmal Zemmer, stated, "We measured brain waves that are generated during the recall of memories and dreaming. The brain, in its final moments, may be replaying the life it is about to lose." The tunnel of light reported in near-death experiences across every culture, every religion, every era of human history, also has a neurological explanation. As the brain loses oxygen, neurons begin to fail from the outside in. The peripheral regions of the visual cortex lose function first. The central visual processing region holds on longest. The result, a narrowing of visual field. A tunnel. With the central vision remaining active and the brain's dying neurons generating random electrical signals, the experience of moving toward a bright light emerges naturally from the neuroscience. Additionally, the brain releases massive amounts of endorphins and possibly DMT dimethyltryptamine, a naturally occurring psychedelic compound produced in the pineal gland. Researchers believe this chemical surge may be responsible for the profound peace, the absence of fear, and the feeling of deep acceptance reported by nearly everyone who has returned from the edge of death. Here is where the science becomes genuinely uncertain and genuinely profound. We know the brain generates a final surge. We know memory replay appears to occur. We know neurochemicals create the subjective experience of peace. But there is a question these findings cannot answer. The hard problem of consciousness. The question of where subjective experience actually comes from. Scientists can measure brain activity. They cannot measure awareness itself. They cannot tell us whether something is still being experienced after the brain's electrical activity ceases. Resuscitation researcher Dr. Sam Parnia at NYU has documented cases of verified awareness during periods of cardiac arrest, patients who accurately described events that occurred while their hearts were stopped and their brains showed no measurable activity. These cases remain scientifically unresolved. They do not prove an afterlife. But they do prove that our current understanding of the boundary between life and death is far less clear than we once believed. What the neuroscience consistently shows is not a terrifying end. It is a protected one. The surge of endorphins eliminates pain. The gamma wave burst may generate profound inner experience. The life review may be the brain's final act of meaning-making, processing and integrating everything it has lived. The tunnel and the light emerge not from the supernatural, but from the brain doing what it always does, trying to make sense of what it perceives. Dr. Zemmer, reflecting on his findings, said, "As a neuroscientist, I find it intriguing to think that although our loved ones have their eyes closed and are in the process of dying, the brain may be playing a last recall of cherished memories." Whatever you believe happens after, the science suggests that the moment of dying itself may be far less frightening, and far more remarkable, than any of us ever imagined. We spend most of our lives avoiding thinking about this moment. But the neuroscience tells us something worth knowing. In your final seconds, your brain will not abandon you. It will give you everything it has. One last surge. One last replay. One last light.